Hello everyone, and welcome to our first episode of, I don't know what we're going to call it yet. We could call it Walk and Roll Over. We could call it the Greasy Italian. I kind of like cooking with grease. But anyway, this is our first episode, maybe our only episode, because maybe nobody's going to find this shit funny. But we'll see what happens. Today I'm going to make for you a little meatball stoop. You got to say it the right way. You got to say stoop with the P in it at the end. Charlie, like you're talking like Eric Roberts in The Pope of Greenwich Village. But anyway, we're going to make a little bit of meatball stoop, and that's a mixture between a stew and a soup. Very easy. We're going to make small veal, pork, and beef meatballs. We're going to cook them in a convection oven and then add them to the soup. The soup is a mixture of beef stock and chicken stock. Adding to the meatballs, we're going to have grated cheese, Italian breadcrumbs, 3 eggs. It's about maybe 1.25 pounds of meat. And we'll make them into 1-inch meatballs. Like I said, we'll put them in the broiler, the convection oven, cook them up, add them to soup as we cook. We're also going to finally chop up some carrots, some onion, and in the back, we have to zoom in on this because every Italian guy knows, if you learned how to cook from your mother, you got to keep your pasta in these cremora containers in the back. That thing's probably like from 1971, and we've had small shells in it forever. So, it just adds to the flavor. It's like those places where you see they keep having the same oil from like 1776 that they fried the hamburgers in. I saw it someplace on the Food Channel. Somewhere in that container, there's semolina dust particles from 1971. So anyway, that's what we're going to do. Nothing fancy in this kitchen. This is old school. That's the pot we're going to use. All right. I'll commence with the ingredients in a moment. Okay, so I usually don't cook with gloves because I think rubber gloves while cooking are totally bullshit. You got to clean your hands correctly. That's what you got to do. All this shit you see the people in the restaurants with gloves and all the yuppies and and the uptight white folks and stuff, and they get all upset because, and I'm white, so whatever that means. But you don't use a rubber glove. But today, while I'm mixing the little meatballs, I'm going to use a rubber glove because I have, and let's focus on this, one nasty cut. You can see that L shape there the other day, so I'm going to be covering that up. All right? Otherwise, you don't need gloves. Clean your fingers, don't touch any body parts while you're cooking. Tie your hair back, and believe me, I have long hair and my hair is tied back right now, and you should be okay. It's a nasty little cut. Son of a bitch. Okay, so here we have some carrots. Yeah, I cheated. I bought bad carrots. What's the difference? All right? If you're looking for all that fresh, homegrown, organic crap, yeah, whatever. Okay, just as long as you aren't buying salad in a bag, okay, and paying like $9.50 for a pound. And I have a friend of mine, and you know who you are. She loves to do that. But mate, whenever you can cut corners, I'll cut corners. And this time I'm using bad carrots, like I said. Be careful not to cut the dickens out of your fingers either. So, small pieces. What you're going to do is they're flying away here. They're jumping jack carrots. So what you're going to try and do is, just get them in small pieces like that. That's good. And you're going to put them and saute them, sweat them down a little bit in some canola oil. Just like that. I'll cut the rest off camera. And then of course you got your onions and the same thing. What I do is I usually pre-slice them, keep them in a bag in the fridge, and then same thing. Just cut small pieces. You don't want big pieces in the soup. You don't want chunks. You know, you want the flavor from it. So let me finish cutting these and we'll be back in a second. Okay, so here you have your diced carrots, your diced onions. Let's zoom in a little bit on that. You know, not too small. And what we're going to do is we're just going to saute them in this big ass pot over here. It's a BAP, a big ass pot. Okay, and we'll add some canola oil to it. So let me just go over there and do that right now. We'll set it on low heat. Low heat. And you cook it about 5-10 minutes, but the heat's got to be really low. You use about 4 teaspoons, which I don't measure anyway. So I'm sure that's more than 4 teaspoons, but hey, what the hell. Alright, and then just take your diced carrots. Again, I have my lovely glove here. And just get it all in there. Alright. Again, we're going to put it on low heat. And like I said, we're going to let that simmer for about 5 or 6 minutes. And of course, you need your wooden spoon. Here's our wooden spoon. Man, I got whacked with this shit probably when I was a kid a lot of times. Right in the ass. That's why kids are spoiled today. You're not allowed to, you know, hit them in the ass. It's not politically correct, but oh well, whatever. Alright, so we're going to sweat these down a little bit. Like I said, 5-6 minutes over low heat, and then what you're going to do is you're going to add 8 cups of broth. I usually mix chicken and beef stock. Or sometimes, you know, you could even put a little onion soup in instead. Give it a little bit more onion flavor. Whatever you feel you want to do. For all you people that are, you know, non-animal killers and meat eaters, well, you know, grill up some tofu or something. I'm sure it's going to taste like shit, but, you know, you can substitute whatever you want in with this. Alright? How about politically incorrect cooking with me? Alright, so we're going to leave that to simmer, and once it does, we're going to add those, like I said, 8 cups of liquid with the chicken. You want to use chicken stock, you can use it. Broth, you can use it. I like to use, you know, whatever. It's just chicken bouillon, seasoning, beef, powdered. I find that's easier to do. And in the meantime, once that starts sweating down and you add the liquid to it, you bring it to a medium heat and you get it to a nice boil while you're doing the meatballs. Alright, we'll be back in a little bit. Okay, so while you have those onions and the carrots sweating down, you're going to add a little bit more seasoning to it if you want, salt and pepper. Or you can add that later on when you put the liquid in. So what I have here is almost 2 pounds of pork, beef, and veal. I'm going to use about 1 pound for this. So I'm just going to go halfway and stick it into our little pot. So let's do that right now. And again, don't worry, the meat ain't going to bite you. It's already dead. So just dig in. Like I said, clean your hands. Nobody wants a lot of human juice on their food anyway. So I can start smelling the, oh, it smells good, the carrots and the onions. Alright, so like I said, we're going to take about a pound, whatever that is. We're going to take about 1 pound, and we're going to mix it all up. Now, sometimes I add 3 eggs, sometimes I'll add 2 eggs, but you know what? I'm making a big pot, so let's put a little bit more in. I'll put maybe about 1.5 pounds of meat altogether. You got some extra little balls left over, then hey, that's fine too. Alright? So right now, let's add 2 eggs. And then just get your hands in there and get funky with it. Get the egg mixture mixed up in there. And then, you'll see. And right now it's pretty loose, but we still got to add some breadcrumbs to it. So 2 eggs should be really okay for this. It's feeling a little loose. When you're rolling meatballs, you don't want any of the meat to stick. You want it to be moist. You don't want a dry meatball, and especially we're only going to make these small, like 1 inch. But you don't want, you don't want to see that. Once we add the breadcrumbs, that'll be better. So right now I'm going to go and rinse off my fingers for a little bit. All right, we're back. Now the next thing, I'm going to do this by sight. I'm going to add breadcrumbs to it, a little bit at a time, okay? Like I said, you want a moist meatball, but you want it firm also. So let's get that mix in there, add a little bit more. Meanwhile, those carrots and onions are really starting to smell really good. Get those onions caramelized. And you can see it's coming there. I'm going to put a little bit more breadcrumbs in it. I mean, you don't want it sticking, like I said. So let's add a little bit more breadcrumbs. And I'm thinking that should do it. You can actually feel it. The consistency comes together. It's not so mushy. It's firm. But once you cook that sucker, it'll be nice and moist. And like I said, we're going to make 1 inch meatballs out of this. Alright, so that's pretty good. I'm going to add a little bit of pepper. Some salt. Now again, like my cremora container over there, you have the Adolph's meat tenderizer. That's from about 1976. So you just continually wash it, and some had red caps. So the red cap in our house was always pepper. The yellow cap was always salt. Okay? So little heads up for everybody. Little history there. I'm going to throw some salt in it. Taste. Mix that salt and pepper in there. Alright. Last thing we're going to do is some Pecorino Romano cheese. However much you want. Gives it a good taste. It also helps with the consistency a little bit, so I just like to shave it until it covers the entire top of the meat. And don't forget, you're using seasoned breadcrumbs. If you don't want to use seasoned breadcrumbs, don't use seasoned breadcrumbs. The hell you want from me. Alright? So again, I'm going to mix it. We'll let it sit for a little bit. All right, we'll be back in a moment.